All right, so we're recording. That nice little sound tells us we're recording. So we didn't get the intro, but this will be good just to kind of head in and kind of get into the nuts and bolts of precision retries, done campaigns, and a failed payment wall. Moving into precision retries, if you have access today to failed payment recovery, you have access to precision retries. This is a simple toggle located in the advanced settings page within your failed payment tab on the left-hand side of Churnkey. You can go in and check to see if this is toggled on or off. But this is one of the simplest and easiest ways. It requires really one click from you to start seeing tremendous ROI from Churnkey. And these precision retries are going to be very helpful in finding that sweet spot of gathering those charges from your customers that might have failed initially. We created precision retries back in the day when I don't know if the customer's on this call or not. I haven't been able to see everybody's face, but a customer came to us and said, "Hey, we want to see if y'all can create something similar to Stripe Smart Retries and see how that performs." And they kind of helped us do a test, and we set it all up, and it worked. And precision retries actually outperformed Stripe retries during that test by about 20%. But really, we created precision retries to work hand in hand with your existing Stripe Smart Retries. So we want to work these in tandem together so that over the course of 30 days, your customer's card is attempted to be charged so that you can get as much of that revenue back that you potentially lost. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Stripe settings, but really all you need to do to get precision retries turned on is to toggle that little button on your side. And if you have any trouble there, let me know. I can always help move a toggle to the right or left. Like, that's not an issue for me. We're not the single source of truth in regards to the subscription status. That's going to live in Stripe. But the precision retries are going to work alongside Stripe in order to make sure that your customer's card is attempted or charged at the best possible times. The difference between Stripe Smart Retries and Churnkey's Precision Retries can kind of be found when we start talking about the Stripe settings. I'll send this information to you after this call, and a lot of you have already updated this with me on calls, different things like that, but I want to make sure we're all on the same page here. If you're leveraging Stripe Smart Retries with Churnkey's Precision Retries, which is our recommendation, we recommend that you set the retry schedule from Stripe for 4 times within 1 month. I hope you can kind of see this small little picture I have here on the right side. We recommend retrying 4 times within 1 month. I think the default is oftentimes 8 times in 2 weeks. We want to make sure that we're not hitting your customer's card too often. 8 times in the first 2 weeks might get some pushback from card companies, different things like that might be not upset, but might view that as suspicious activity from one specific vendor. So this is the typical smart retry cadence that we suggest setting up. On the other side, Churnkey's Precision Retries is going to also run 4 to 5 times within the month. And this is going to attempt the customer's card on a changing, evolving schedule based on what works the most effectively for your customer base. So we're going to attempt charges at different times through the month until we find a sweet spot based on the algorithm our developers have set up that charges your customer's card at the most effective times. So Stripe Smart Retries are going to run on a set schedule, and Churnkey's Precision Retries are going to change and evolve over time on your customer base. Anybody have any questions there? We also recommend, as in regards to Stripe settings, to turn customer emails off from Stripe if you're leveraging Churnkey's payment recovery. This just gives you more, Churnkey's payment recovery just gives you more opportunities for customization, and Stripe's emails, I believe, and oftentimes offer customers a way to cancel outside of the Churnkey cancel flow. So you wouldn't be able to gather that feedback for cancellation, and they'll just be able to cancel through those links, depending on how you have that set up. We also recommend that ACH settings, if you accept ACH, are enabled, and then cancel subscription and mark invoices as uncollectible on failed retries. So those are the Stripe settings we recommend. And I, again, will be sending this slide deck to y'all so that y'all can compare this against your current Stripe settings. And you can always update this directly from Churnkey's Advanced Settings tab under Payment Recovery. Well, moving into dunning campaigns, this is going to be where most customers are leveraging Churnkey for payment recovery. Most of the time, if I'm jumping on a call with you, you already have a dunning campaign up and running. You're already trying to get the customers to update their card through the email process. During this section of the roundtable today, we'll be talking a little bit about best practices and setup of the campaign. Let me let this one person in so we can. Here we go. I'm going to keep moving. But the Churnkey dunning campaign, this was kind of our first attempt at payment recovery. And we wanted it to live in the same place as your cancel flows. So you have both that voluntary and the involuntary churn side of things, all under one roof within Churnkey. In order to kind of set this up, you need to do 3 actions to set this up. So you need to set a custom subdomain. And if you have any questions on how to do this or make this happen, I can always jump on an individual call with you and walk you through this process. This is something that we want to make sure you get right so that your customers are landing in a trustworthy and a properly configured place to update their payment and information. So you need to create a custom subdomain within existing domain. And this is something that this is a subdomain that doesn't exist already. We typically suggest terms like invoices at yoursubdomain.com. or billing at yourdomain.com, billing.yourdomain.com. And what this is going to do is this is going to provide a clean, white labeled space that your customers link to when they click in the email, in the dunning email you have set up to update their payment and update their card. You also need to set a payment update page. So once the customer has updated their information within Churnkey, you need to send them to some place that makes the most sense. Send them to their account page, send them to their home page or to their dashboard. Just make sure that you include the redirect URL in the advanced settings tab in Churnkey so that your customers are being sent to the right place. And then finally, you want to verify so that your customers know who the emails are coming from and they can trust the email that they're receiving as being the proper email and is coming directly from you and you're asking them to update their payment. Now I want to dive a little bit into best practices around the email dunning campaigns. We talked about best practices when it comes to cancel flows a while back. We talked about, how to leverage segmentation and custom attributes around cancel flows in previous roundtables, but we want to make sure that we're also applying best practices to dunning campaigns. I'll jump on calls with many of you or other customers, and we'll take a look at the dunning campaign, and it's pretty much just one campaign for everybody. But you really have the opportunity to customize and leverage segmentation effectively to bring in that failed payment and increase your ROI and increase that conversion from involuntary churn to actually a saved customer much more effectively. So one of the main ways that you can leverage Churnkey is by running specific tests or creating segments for dunning campaigns. So oftentimes it'll just be a primary campaign, and that's the campaign that Churnkey has created or Churnkey has developed, and we've put a lot of time and effort into polishing it, making it look good. There's a lot of other ways that you might want to treat specific customers. For example, if a customer has a failed payment a month into their account, they might need to be treated a little bit differently than a customer who's been with your platform for over a year with active usage. So being able to identify these customers through segmentation and provide them proper calls to action is going to lead to the most effective conversion rate for your payment recovery. So for example, I typically see, inactive customers versus active customers, giving inactive customers discounts at the point of updating their card or different ways to motivate them is going to be effective in the long run at saving as much as much revenue as possible during this process. If you have any questions or want to set up specific campaign segments or see if you can test them, I'm always happy to jump on a call and talk you through this that is more customized for your specific customer base. When we first got into setting up dunning campaigns, we also wanted to attempt to charge a customer's card very similar to Smart Retries or Precision Retries. We offered this payment auto retry before we ever got to the point of offering the Precision Retry product from Churnkey. And a lot of times I will look into any, customers, Churnkey's customers campaigns, and payment auto retries is not toggled on. This is a really effective way to prevent your customer from receiving emails that are unnecessary. So what it does is it attempts to charge the customer's card right before the email goes out. And if the card is charged, if it goes through, then the email doesn't go out and doesn't clutter your customer's inbox. This is an easy way to just kind of create another fail-safe or another layer of payment recovery. And you can leverage this on any emails within the Dunning campaign that do not go out immediately after a failed payment. So that first email, you're not going to be able to toggle this on, but the second through however many emails you have, you can toggle this on. You can turn it on for specific emails. You can turn it on for 1 or 2 emails. But really, this is just a customizable way to attend to your customer's card at different times after that first failed payment. So a couple of best practices in regards to Dunning email campaigns that we just like to call out here. And these might sound simple or a little flowery, a little bubbly. I always think about them as kind of being, oh, that's nice. But these are actually very effective, and something that we've seen over the time of all of our founders have subscription businesses and had subscription businesses in the past. And these were effective tools and effective methods by which they were able to secure email opens or click-throughs. And these best practices we actually apply to our own failed payment recovery today. And we've also seen this in customers, you leveraging these best practices today, it just being so much more effective than just a simple one line or something like that. So these are recommendations on how you build out your emails, how you can craft your subject lines. But we really suggest using emojis in the subject lines, at least in the first couple, just to bring people's attention to the issue of, hey, your card failed. Like a red dot or red stop sign is really helpful in this. But that emoji is going to really draw the eye and make sure that the customer sees that email in their inbox. If you are offering discounts, which you can do when you create Churnkey Dunning emails, you can offer discounts. I would suggest adding those discounts in the subject line. Come back and update your card for 20% off. I typically suggest adding discounts for the later emails. The emails where you know that the customers probably have seen the email and have just not decided to do anything. And this just gives them, kind of more incentive to come back and update their payment information. Copy in the email body shouldn't be long at all. Keep things fairly simple for your customers, 2 to 3 sentences, and really get them to that call to action, get them to that button as quickly as possible. We also offer ways to customize the email. So adding in different variables, if you want to pass through custom attributes, such as how much data they've used with your product, or how many things they've created with your product that might be lost if they don't update their card. You can pass through that kind of information here. Let's keep the information. Let's keep the amount of communication at a minimum so that call to action really takes precedence and gets them to the point of updating their card. If you are just starting, or if you haven't ever used Churnkey's failed payment recovery before, our default copy has actually been tested and written, and we leverage this default copy also. This works great for most services right out of the box. So this is a good out of the box solution. If you're looking to go from 0 to 1 as quickly as possible, we have something there. You're not having to write something, from scratch. This exists today out of the box. And as soon as you add, are able to update your information and follow those 3 steps I talked about on the previous slide, you can have something there ready to go. Now, again, I do want to make sure that we are segmenting campaigns, and just like we talked about, being as personalized as possible. But if you were looking for something out of the box to run today, this can be turned on. And then we also suggest utilizing plain text. We don't want to get all crazy with different images or videos or different things like that. We don't want anything standing in the way between the customer seeing that email, going to that call to action, and updating their payment so that you can recover that revenue. Couple more things here as far as the subject lines and emails go. The link for the payment update page will automatically be added to the bottom of the email. You can drag this. So if you are editing the email, you can drag the button to different places in the email. And if you also click on the button itself, you can then update the call to action as well. So it doesn't have to say update your card now. That's just the default. You can update this with whatever copy you would like to include here. Finally, a couple of things just as far as the psychology of a customer looking at your emails. You can update the sender name, and we typically suggest utilizing 2 to 3 different sender names, just depending on the nature of your business, to call the customer's attention to that name, to making sure that they can see, oh, this is a real person reaching out to me. And you don't even have to use real names within your company. You can create fictitious names if you wanted to, but we typically suggest the most recognizable names within your company are going to be the most effective at getting your customers to open those emails and click through. So if there's a recognizable CEO or a founder or just a personality that y'all use for marketing communication, those names have the highest impact or the highest open and click rates that we typically see. Now, to get into a little bit of the nuts and bolts of setting up your emails, you can set specific send delays. So when we think about someone's payment failing, you typically have a grace period, whether that's 15 days, whether that's a week or 30 days. We want these emails to fall in line with that grace period. So we want to make sure that we're spreading, if it's a 30-day grace period, we want to make sure that we're spreading out these emails that come from Churnkey over that 30-day period. So for example, sending them on days 1, 5, 7, 15, and 28. I believe this is kind of the default out of the box from Churnkey. But you can kind of send away, you can stagger these as you go through the email campaigns and set them up for what's most effective for your customers. We also want to make sure that we are sending that last email about 1 to 2 days prior to the grace period ending. So you're giving your customers enough time to update their information, update their card, and really call it out in the subject line, letting them know access will be canceled at this point, at this day, at this time. We set up time of day based on 9:30 a.m. or 10 a.m. local time, and you can always update this. There's a little you can go in here and click on this and update the time to whatever time you want it to be if you find that your customers open emails at different times than this. But this is just the default, and this will, you don't even have to update this for it to automatically go out at those times. Then we have sender email address. So this email address is the one that you want people to be able to reply to. So if you have a specific billing person or someone that handles payments, include their email address here so that they can respond or they receive the replies to any emails that might come back or might reply on that. It'll also send them a copy of the email so that they can see which of your customers are receiving these emails in real time. So we've talked about Precision Retries, which is typically the most, as far as bottom line goes, it's probably the most effective of the Churnkey tools as far as getting failed payment recovery. But then you also have the email side of things that offers the personalized that, typically gets customers who might be inactive or who might not have, thought about updating their card or have an expired card or something like that to come back and update their card. But then we also have another part of Churnkey's offerings with payment recovery, and that's our failed payment wall. And I'm not going to pretend to be super technical and know how the snippet works or anything like that. I don't know how to include the snippet on your side of things. But what this is number one, as far as if I'm on a call with a customer and we're looking at the products that you are leveraging from Churnkey, this is the most underutilized. And then oftentimes the customers that utilize it see a significant ROI because it really takes only 5 to 10 minutes to implement. And if you have access to payment recovery today, you have access to the failed payment wall. And what the failed payment wall does is this provides a way for you to include on specific pages or every page within your product that is access, that customers have to have access to. You can include this payment wall to prompt your customers to update their card in real time. So kind of like what we were talking about, or what Neil, your suggestion about your medication will run out in X number of days. If you're running a mission critical piece of software, let's say, or which I imagine all of you are, if you're running a piece of software that customers are accessing and they need to get to their content or their data, this is a great way to prompt them to update their card in real time. You can make this payment wall soft, or you can make it a requirement to fill in the payment in order to proceed. So the snippet allows you to do both. So you're allowed to make it so that the customer can click out of it and get access if they're still within that grace period, or you can make it a requirement if you want them to update their card to move forward. We've seen some teams utilize the soft payment wall. It's a great effect where customers, don't feel like they're obligated to put something in right away, or they're not obligated, but this really prevents the customer from doing multiple clicks, going into their account and updating their card in a normal way. Where I've seen, I oftentimes see like your payment your card payment method is out of date. Go here to update. And how many times do we click on that link at the top in the banner at the top of the page? This is front and center. This is letting me know, hey, this is an issue. This is something we need to resolve right away in order to maintain access. So this is one thing I'll highlight, and you can even customize this. You can make this look on brand for you and the team with some CSS overrides, different things like that. I'm happy to connect you with somebody on our support team if you want to make this look more on brand or update the font, anything like that. But this is a really effective tool that I've seen a lot of teams use with a lot of impact to their bottom line. And typically, and oftentimes, this will even perform just as well or even better than the dining campaigns as far as getting customers to update their cards. All right, team. Well, we are going to be moving into the analytics side. So in the analytics page, we used to have kind of a total amount up here in the upper left-hand corner. It's a total amount recovered. Then we'd have a couple of numbers of just like what's in process of being recovered, that kind of thing. We have spent a lot of time and effort thinking through what information makes the most sense for you, and what makes the most sense to present you when you come into Churnkey's analytics for payment recovery. So we've kind of thought about this and we've updated it. So, and I think that one of the most impactful ways that we've updated is by giving you this date picker in the upper right-hand corner. This is going to update all of your charts across the page this is for the dates that you select. So right now, I believe we're looking since April 11th. I think this is the last 90 days we're looking at, or so the past two months. Yeah. Anyway, we're looking at a confidential. We're in confidential mode right now, so this is kind of like a demo mode for our team. But this just gives you a sense for how many payments were due during a given time frame. So this is something we haven't shown before. We haven't really displayed how much was actually due to your team, to your business, over a specific time frame. And then we break it out into failed payments against this amount due. And then we talk about how much was actually recovered. So a little over 33% at this point. And then how many emails were sent. And you can kind of hover over any of these bars within the bar graphs to get more granular data on a given amount of time. So this is 6-day increments here for this one. If I did the past month, let's just say the last 30 days, it's going to update this information and just give me a 30-day breakdown of how much was due in the given month. And then it's also going to tell you how many emails were open and how many subscriptions were kept from becoming delinquent or failed payment recovery. It's also going to update any of the line graphs down below and provides you with the information kind of on a day-to-day basis of how much should have come in versus how much did come in, how much is being actively recovered, and how much is unrecovered within this. You can filter this down as you would expect from Churnkey, other Churnkey analytics pages that you've worked with. So you can just look at the recovered amount. You could just look at active recovery. And then you can also do this by the number of payments or split this out just by payment amount. You can also always export the data from any of these graphs, and I'll show you what that looks like in a Google Sheet here in just a few minutes. You can see down below the bar graphs, you can see the total amount due, like we looked at in the section above, how much came through successfully, how much was recovered, and how much are we currently working on recovery. So you can see that the active recovery versus recovered and the unrecovered. So the actively recovering means these customers are still in sequence still receiving dunning emails because this was only a month ago. So we're going to, during the grace period of 30 days for this fictitious customer, we're actively attempting to recover $2,200. And this recovered amount, as customers update their card, as Precision Retries runs through, as Smart Retries run through, this recovered amount will increase. Anybody have any questions on payment status on this little window we're looking at here? All right. We can also move into the recovery method. So this is going to break down how the dollars, it's going to break down the amount of dollars in the past 30 days that have been recovered. It's going to break them down into sections. So recovered via retries, this is going to be auto retries or precision retries. If you're leveraging auto retries, it's going to account that with precision retries. This is going to count total recovered via email in the last 30 days. How much has been recovered via payment wall? So this customer is currently not leveraging the payment wall, but this would indicate how much was it, brought in from customers updating their card that way. And then how much has been brought in via other. It's also going to break down the number of customers or number of subscriptions that have been recovered and give that to you based on each individual method as well. And then to kind of get a sense of email performance over the past 30 days or however long you set that time frame for, you will be able to see how many emails were sent and how many were sent on each day, how many were opened, clicked, and how many emails might have bounced. This information we're looking to hopefully give you so that you give you the actual emails here so that you can take a look at which customers actually bounce. You can see the bounced emails in the activity stream, but I would like for us to be able to kind of hover over this to be able to see those granularly who the email address is. I did export this data and put this in a spreadsheet. If y'all can see my screen, this is kind of what you will be presented with if you do create a spreadsheet. So you'll see that for the payment status spreadsheet, you can see successfully and successful initially. So these are the payments that came through over the course of 30 days, past 30 days. How much money was recovered on a daily basis for the past 30 days? How much is being actively recovered on a daily basis? So you can see the different days and how much to expect that should be coming in based on that, and how much was unrecovered during that amount of time. We can also see a breakdown of recovery method. So you can see the retry strategy. So you can see how much was brought in from precision retries and auto retries over the course of 30 days, recovered via email, and recovered via other as well. So this is all broken down here. So email performance. So you can kind of get a breakdown of the past 30 days and how your emails have performed against this. And this is just going to give you an individualized spreadsheet. And then finally, this is going to be all of the activity of the past 30 days for your customers. So who has paid, who has not paid, whether they're recovered via email, recovered via Churnkey auto retry, or precision retry is going to be in this column. And then you're going to have more information here. So it's going to break down everything for you and give it to you. Not quite as pretty as the analytics page, but it is going to give you a sense for what's going on as far as recovery. And I use this recovery date to let me know kind of who's been recovered that might have had a failed payment. And these are going to be all your failed payments within this given amount of time. And then based on the question that we had earlier, we're going to have recovery breakdown. So this is going to give you a percentage of why, the reasons why cards might have failed. So failed payment by reason, like for decline, this is going to give you the percentage of the cards. And then you can also break this down based on active subscription. You can even do on trial if you want to see, if your customers are putting in fake cards or something like that, you can kind of get a sense for that through this recovery breakdown. The great question about segmenting based on this customer base, as you can segmenting based on the reason why they were declined. This is like, we would have to break this down into individual percentages in order to segment that, but I still think that's a great idea and one that we're going to go to the product team with after this call. You can also see the total number if you want to get a sense for that, but I think percentages give you a sense for a better sense for recovery rates against the different failed payment reasons and by car brand, and then also just kind of the different breakdowns based on car brand. So you can kind of see all this information in the analytics page and break this down, and all of this is going to be based on that 30-day time period that I selected up here. You can always update that to kind of get a more holistic sense of all time, or you can get more granular with the past week or different things like that. Any questions on the new look of the analytics page? And also, if you do have feedback on this, or if it's missing something that you want to see or different things like that, I'd love to hear from you. You could either let us know on this call or send me an email or something like that. But this is just kind of the start or the direction that we're looking to take as far as the analytics page and the information that we want to provide to you all.